What's going on, you guys? It is your boy, the American F1 fan, Eric Ringle here, and F1-75 is in the books from the London O2 Arena. But now it's time to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly from the F1-75 event. So let's talk about the ugly first, and I'm going to kind of include the bad and ugly parts together. There was really nothing truly ugly about the event, and in another video I'll talk about the liveries that were presented to us. There were some ugly ones there, of course, but just some of the things that I could have really done without for this event was the musical guests. I don't mind the creator of the F1 theme being there and, maybe being able to trick it up as they introduce, each individual team, but I could have done without, the DJ that Alpine put out. I could have done without Kane Brown. I could have done without Machine Gun Kelly. None of their songs, really had anything to do with Formula One, and it seemed like it was just time filler, for the crowd to, kind of keep their attention. And every F1 fan that was there and every F1 fan that was watching the live stream was there really for one reason and one reason only, and that was for each team's liveries. Now granted, we knew liveries weren't going to change that much, but it's still a special moment for us. We don't care about all the pomp and circumstance that goes on around it, like all the music and all the guest stars and all that stuff. We don't really care about that. We care about what the car looks like, what the livery looks like, and maybe to hear from the team a little bit. We don't need a whole lot of information because a lot of times with these livery reveals, we're not even getting the actual, that year's car. A lot of times we're getting the prior year's car, and they don't introduce their, the newest car until it goes out for the first test, which is in, a week and a half's time in Bahrain. So I truly think the musical guests in general, it was such time filler for a 2-hour event. One, it didn't need to be 2 hours, and two, we just didn't need these musical guests that had really nothing to do with F1, didn't have any songs that were F1 related. We just didn't need it. And I think that it just took up extra time that F1 fans didn't need to have taken up. And I kind of alluded to this with the other bad part. It was a 2-hour event. 2 hours is too long. You've got to think that as F1 fans, like I said, we're there for one thing and one thing only, and that's the livery reveals. And yeah, we want to hear from some of our favorite drivers like Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, the main protagonists that are going into the 2025 season. We don't need to hear from each and every driver. Every time we got every time we got a livery reveal, we had to hear from each of the two drivers and the team principal. And I think, again, it goes back to time filling. They wanted to get a 2-hour event. They wanted to, justify making people pay ungodly amounts for these tickets to F1-75. And, what's a better way to justify it by having literally every last person, the two drivers and the team principal talk. And it turned into a 2-hour event that quite honestly, there were times I paused it just so that I could build up a little time and fast forward through it. Now, one of the good things about this event was Jack Whitehall, the host, the MC for the evening, did a really fantastic job. Now, yes, he's not an F1 guy and he's not from the F1 world, so I get it. There's some people that, don't necessarily know who he is and probably just didn't really get his comedy. But he did a really good job hosting this for somebody that was outside of F1, knew what he was talking about, knew the main storylines from last season. It kind of helped, when he did his opening monologue and even when he sat down to talk to some of the other drivers. it was really quite interesting to hear, what he had to ask, what he had to talk about with those drivers. He did a really good job hosting, and I could have done without we get the likes of Martin Brundle and some of the other folks that they had introducing teams all throughout through the event. Maybe this is the one time we don't have a Martin Brundle or any of the other folks that we typically get that present F1. Maybe this is the one time we don't have to see them. Another good thing that I think was just the liveries in general. I think the way they presented them with that big, gigantic stage and the way they had that platform, kind of, it didn't like just go straight out and then straight back in. Like they had different ways to present each individual team and each individual car. And I think this did a really good job when you look at it from the grand scheme of things. I think it, presented each car in a different way that, F1 fans, kind of enjoyed, like the Haas car. I remember there was the first time we saw the car spinning around and you got a full look at the, 2025 car. And it really helps you be able to see, what parts are new, what's going on with the car that's new this year that we, maybe didn't, notice before. And I think the last thing for me, if we're talking about, just the F1-75 event in general, and I brought this up in a TikTok short and a YouTube short that I talked about. I've heard a lot of folks talking about how great this event was and, the pomp and the circumstance and all the extras and all the lights and lasers and all this other stuff. And I found it quite hypocritical to hear from F1 fans, from this event at the London O2 Arena, to hear fans sitting here going, oh, this is such a fantastic event. It was so great to see, all the pomp, circumstance, all the extra stuff. But then when America does it, it seems to me that every F1 fan all of a sudden loses interest and says, oh God, here's America tricking up our sport and doing all this extra stuff. And it just seemed really hypocritical. And this is not necessarily from an event standpoint as much as it is from a fan standpoint. I think it was, it just seemed very hypocritical from the people that were covering the event to hear them talk about how, this event was so amazing when in regards, it's no different than what the United States have put on in some of the events and some of the race weekends. But guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of F1-75. Like I said, there could have been a lot of time cut from this, and I think it could have gone a lot shorter had they maybe cut some things and maybe, toned down some of what they did. But guys, let me know what you guys saw of the event down in the comment section down below. Guys, as always, hit that like button. It helps me, and it helps this video get out to more and more Formula One fans who may want to hear about the F1-75 event and want to hear people's thoughts about it. Guys, if you are new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out immensely. As you can see back behind me, we've got the counter. It's almost to 1,000 subscribers. So help me get to 1,000 subscribers before the start of the Formula One season. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And guys, for the American F1 fan, I'm Eric Ringel, signing off.